Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Thanks for checking out this video. My name is Chris. We talk all about pond stuff here on this channel, so if you're interested in koi ponds and waterfalls, water gardens, all that kind of stuff, everything, you've come to the right place. I have over 100 videos here for you guys right now on a ton of different topics. Just about everything that you can think of. I've been building ponds professionally now for over 25 years, well over 25 years. And I'm just trying to share with you a lot of my experience and some knowledge and some helpful tips, you know, the whole bit here in all these videos. I'm not claiming that I know everything. I'm just trying to help you out with what I do know and give you some, you know, helpful information to hopefully, you know, make your own pond endeavors more successful and a little more enjoyable. All right, so please take some time, look around at all these videos. Again, there's a ton of stuff here. If you're interested in, you know, fish, I have videos on, you know, how to care for the fish, how to feed fish, the different types of fish that are available for ponds. I talk all about filtration, UV lights, aeration, gravity-fed filters, skimmers, bottom drains, everything. Water plants, I have a whole series of videos on water plants, and it's just everything in everything. I probably have a video for it at this point. If you guys have a suggestion for me on something you would like me to talk about and discuss, please let me know. I'm all in for, you know, ideas at this point. Being I have so many videos out here, I'm always looking for, you know, topics and stuff to talk about that I think could be helpful and interesting for you guys. So any suggestions, throw them my way. I'd really be interested to hear, you know, what you guys would like to know more about. So anyway, that being said, let's get on with today's video. Today I'm talking about doing rock work around your pond, all right? Kind of finishing off the borders of your pond. Two different ways or styles of doing it, and what are some advantages and disadvantages of each one, all right? For me, when I build a pond, basically what I do is, we're going to pretend that this little table here is a ledge in my pond, about 4 to 6 inches underwater. So my pond liner is going to come up here, it's going to come up on that ledge, and I'm going to do all my rock work around on this ledge. All right, all my boulders, all my rock is going to be set and stacked up on that ledge. Sometimes I cement it all in with some concrete. Sometimes we just dry stack, okay? Just depends on the situation, the type of rock. Once I have my rocks here up on that ledge, I bring my liner up behind the rocks. I put rock behind it and cap it all off, all right? Now the advantage of that is my liner is up here. My ground is here, my liner is up here. I never have any kind of runoff coming into my pond. I don't have mulch running in, I don't have any kind of herbicides, fertilizers, pesticides, chemicals, whatever from my lawn running into my pond if there's a heavy rain. It's totally a closed system, all right? As opposed to digging my hole, laying my liner in, and just putting rock all around the top, and having the liner lay flat on the ground, all right? Now, having the liner lay flat on the ground like that is the typical way that I see ponds built all the time, all right? They put their liner down, they put some rocks, some boulder on it, they cover it all with gravel, whatever, okay? And it looks nice because it all kind of disappears and blends right in. Absolutely it does. And it gives you the ability to put, you know, have that liner nice and flat and put a big round boulder down on top of it, right? And some smaller rocks and gravel and stuff all around it. You can really get creative with it. And it honestly looks nice, okay? It's just that in my years of doing this, I often come upon, and I'm not saying it's every pond, but I often come upon ponds that are built like this that constantly have some issues with mud washing in, mulch washing down into the pond, All right, and like I said, you know, fertilizers, chemicals, anything in your lawn, if there's a heavy rain and something washes down, it's all going to come right over that liner, right down your rock and right into your pond. I've had a couple ponds that I've seen, you know, with these big boulders around the edge of the pond, and it's beautiful, it looks great, but I've seen this happen a few times where those boulders eventually, you know, they kind of settle down in the ground. And as they settle down, they're pushing that liner underneath it down. And I've seen some ponds that it's settled so much that the liner underneath there is now, you know, 3-4 inches lower than what they want the top surface of the pond to be. So they can never fill the pond all the way up. And the issue was the water wasn't high enough to go into the skimmer that where there's a pump that's feeding the waterfall and another little filter. Okay, so you know, here's the issue now. I got to move those rocks to lift them up and lift that liner up, but that rock weighs hundreds of pounds, right? And it's almost like I need a machine to get in here to move one rock to lift up the liner underneath it so the water's not leaking out. So it becomes a big deal. But that's just an example, okay? Just an example. Most often what I see is the mulch and dirt and stuff washing in around the pond, you know, in a heavy rain, being washed down over the gravel and into the pond. Now, all that dirt and stuff that gets into the pond is feeding the pond with nutrients, which can cause algae to go crazy. If you keep rock and gravel in your pond, okay, well, you're giving all that algae a beautiful spot to grow on and just, I mean, take off, all right? None of my ponds I build have rock and gravel in them. I keep them all bare liner I use 4-inch bottom drains in the bottom of the pond and gravity fed filter systems. So those bottom drains all feed out to filter tanks external of the pond. The advantage of that is there's no rock and gravel in the pond to hold all the sediment and all the debris. All the debris floats down in the pond. Okay, there's this thing called gravity, right? You drop that apple, it falls, it hits the ground, right? Any kind of sediment, debris, waste, anything that gets in the pond eventually is going to settle down into all that gravel, all right? Which can then start to rot, decay, stink, cause all kinds of problems down the road. I don't like doing that. I want my ponds clean. I have a clean pond. I have less maintenance. I hardly ever have to drain and clean my ponds because there's nothing down there. All the debris goes through the bottom drains and out. All right? And it's just, to me, it's a healthier environment. I get it. It doesn't look as natural. Okay? However, my argument with that is most of the rocks and gravel that you put in your pond over the course of time, and it doesn't take long, will start to turn green and get that slime coat on it anyway. At that point, it doesn't look like all fresh, brand new, colorful gravel, river stone and stuff in the pond. It's going to look like green, dirty rock. All right. So, and again, you know, some of the pictures I can show you up here of what some ponds have looked like that are full of rock and gravel, eventually collecting all this sludge and sediment and growing all this algae on it, becomes a mess. All right. So anyway, that's a whole nother video. I do have videos on all that. The differences between ponds with rock and gravel and ponds, you know, with bottom drains. Now, you can't use bottom drains in ponds that are all full of rock and gravel because all that rock and gravel will get down in the bottom drain and clog it. All right. So anyway, again, sorry to get off on that little side note there, but it's all part of the picture here. Again, I have another video on that subject. But again, another issue I have with having a liner flat on the surface that comes down into the pond and it's all full of gravel is the liner is a flat, smooth surface. when you cover it all with round river gravel, whatever size, be it 3/8, ½ inch, 3/4, 1 to 3, 3 to 6, whatever, it's round. It's gonna roll. I see a lot of ponds that over time, all the gravel on the sides slowly starts rolling its way down to the bottom. Some ponds have even been where there's hardly any gravel around the sides at all anymore. And instead of the pond being, 3 feet deep, it's 1.5 feet. Okay, literally, because all of the gravel has worked its way down to the bottom. It also causes a problem walking around the pond. All right, you're walking on gravel that's on this liner that's going down a slope into the pond. I've slipped on some rocks, and I'm sure many other people have. When you step close to it, it's capable of rolling and going downhill. All right, so you got to kind of be careful with that as well. Little kids running around the pond, all right, they're just running. So when if they step close to the pond, their foot and ankle and whatever can go right down in the water, because all that gravel is going to give way and go down into the pond as well. So, two different ways of doing it, right? Bringing the pond liner up, building all your rocks up on a ledge. Now this ledge is underwater, what I do, the 4 to 6 inches underwater. So you never see any of that black liner around the edges of the pond. You just see the rock coming up out of the water all around. But the key is the liner comes up behind the rocks. I have rock behind it, right? And then, we cap it all, finish it off, whatever, to blend everything in. Now, I would say my biggest challenge with this sometimes is it now starts to begin to look like a rock ring around the pond. Some people love it and don't have any issues with it at all, okay? Me as a designer, sometimes I say, okay, I don't want to make it look too much like a ring, right? Like a line, a rock ring around the pond. It can be that, and a lot of people do like that because it's a little neater, it's a little more formal, but I do get, a definite pond outline. So, all right, that's in the rough building of the pond. Once I have the pond built, whatever landscaping you do around it, okay, you can blend it all in with that pond, and that rock ring starts to disappear somewhat, okay? But you still have that divider, that border between landscape and pond, all right, with that liner being up nice and high. So I really like doing that. For me personally, I feel that the advantages of having my liner up and having the pond being a closed-in system, to me, is more advantageous than some aesthetics sometimes with, laying the liner flat on the ground and just doing all rock and gravel and throwing plants in, cutting holes around the liner and putting plants in it and all that stuff. Just, again, a little common sense, maybe think about sometimes what you're doing. The other issue is, walking around your pond with that liner flat on the ground. As you're walking on rock, you could be puncturing the liners around as well. Hopefully that liner is going to be up above the water surface, but it's just something else to think about. With my ponds, you're walking around the pond, there's no liner, right? You're not walking on liner, you're walking on landscape material. So again, what I do as well to kind of help camouflage this ring around the pond is to use different size boulders. Now this all too depends on the client. Okay, it really depends on the client. What is the client like? Most of my clients, they see the pictures of the ponds I build and they like that just nice, natural, neat wall of stone around the pond. And that's great. But some of them say, oh, I want, big boulders and stuff. So by mixing up the size and of the rock that I put around this perimeter can break up that ring around the pond, so to speak. So, in the pond, I could put like a big boulder here, some smaller stuff next to it, right? Maybe put some smaller rocks behind the big one and then put a big rock behind next to the, mix them up so that my line is not this. It's all, different and free flowing. Once that is in, whatever you do on the outside, using some big boulders next to some little boulders or little stone around the edge creates pockets. Little pockets for, little flowers, plants, anything, whatever, right? And then, it just makes that whole edge jagged. You can always put gravel right up to your pond and extend the gravel out and put more boulders in the gravel around the landscape. So however you get creative around that border of the pond, we'll dress it all up anyway. It's just that for me, on my ponds, lifting that liner up and keeping that divider, I do kind of have more of a ring around the border of the pond that sometimes, like I said, people love. Sometimes I need to camouflage it more. But the real, I don't want to say camouflage, but the real blending in comes in the landscape work afterwards. Once it's all landscaped and everything's set, you hardly even realize it, okay? You're not even really looking at it. So just two different trends of thought as to finishing off the rock work around the sides of the pond. I wanted to talk to you about, both ways and kind of give you ideas either way, what to be aware of in both types of installations, and hopefully, help you understand a little bit better what's going on and why, and give you some ideas. All right? So that's basically it. I'm going to wrap it up right here. If you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I've got a ton of stuff here. Take some time. Look at all these videos. I'm sure I have some helpful information for you here, in some video you'd be interested in. So please take some time, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the support. And thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll see you back again in another video. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.